Welcome to The Pulse, where we delve deep into the issues and ideas that are shaping the future of education. I'm your host, Rick Cerncy, Superintendent of the Putnam County School District, and each week we'll be talking to teachers, administrators, and other experts in the field about the latest trends, best practices, and most pressing concerns in education. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who cares about education, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the pulse. Well, good morning. This is Rick Cerncy, and I'm with the Putnam County School District Superintendent, and this is our podcast. And I'm really excited today to have a good friend of mine, Mark Litton, from the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And Mark, welcome. And I know we actually scheduled this some time ago, and I had a little laryngitis, so we kind of had to put it off. But I'm talking good now, so it's really a pleasure to have you in here. And just relax. It's going to be a good conversation. And want to learn more about Mark Litton and what brought him to Putnam County.
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and obviously it's not a podcast if you can't talk. So now we're good at that standpoint. Actually, I had been in the economic development field, running organizations in Ohio and Michigan for 30 years, and I retired in 2018. I had a sick mother who was dying of lung cancer, and so I decided to do elder care. And then COVID hit, and Ohio was not like Florida and Georgia, and we were locked down until January 1 of 2022, so last year, believe it or not. And nobody was hiring, so I just kind of retired. And got a call from a headhunter, said they were looking for, they were doing a search for the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce for an economic development person. And I'm like, where's Putnam County? We had never vacationed in Florida other than bringing our daughters to Disney in Orlando. We had vacationed my wife and I married 10 years in South Carolina. So I didn't know a whole lot about Florida. I mean, I'd heard of Miami, Daytona, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Tallahassee, and Gainesville because of college football. Never heard of Placa.
We're a hidden gem.
Yes. So I said, let me do my research. I'll call you back in 24 hours and let you know if I'm interested. And when I looked at Google searches, I was like, this is a young man's game because we almost have to start our economic development program from scratch. There hasn't been a lot of attention to it, no urgency. And I said, I'm in my 60s. I don't know if I'm the right guy. It might not be the right fit for it. But my wife, who was a retired teacher of 35 years and is on the Ohio State Teacher Retirement System, and she apparently got her phone out and was looking at the map and noticed that Palatka was like 25 minutes from Crescent Beach.
There you go.
She's a beach person. She's a sun worshiper. And she was like, you sure you don't want to rethink this? And she challenged me. And being an ex-athlete, we always accept challenges and try to prove people wrong. She challenged me, said, you've never backed away from a challenge. Why are you doing it now? So I called the guy instantly and said, I'm interested. Let me know what the next steps are. Well, they flew me down. I interviewed. They offered me the job same day, and I accepted.
So that was in the beginning of 22.
Actually, I got the initial call in, say, June of 2022, and August 3rd of 2022 was my first day.
So you're really just over a year.
17 months.
That's great.
Not even a year and a half yet.
What a story. And thanks to your wife, you're here.
Yes.
Our wives kind of help us make decisions that are in our best interest.
My wife's my intuition go-to person. She has that intuition, what's good. And, we moved around a lot because economic development positions tend to be political, as superintendent positions are. And this has been the best move we've ever made. We've fallen in love with this community. We love being here. We love the people. People are a lot nicer here than they are in the Midwest. everybody says hi, hello, and they all have that yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am when they talk to you. I mean, even young people in our schools.
Yeah.
And that is awesome. Now, I know there's, that's a lot that essentially comes out of the military, and we're so close to a lot of military bases in Jacksonville, NAS and Mayport. So,
well, and I think and I was actually going to ask you what your perception is coming in from the outside of Palatka and Putnam County, and you've already kind of addressed that. But, just being a native Floridian myself, there's really, Northeast Florida is kind of the old South, if you will.
Old Florida is what I call
the old
it.
Florida. And then South Florida is kind of like, the Northeast part of the United States.
New England, New York. Yeah, a lot of people moved down from there.
Love them all. I'm just saying there's kind of a different culture.
There's more, what I've seen, there's more native Floridians here than Orlando and South.
Agreed. Yep. So I think a lot of what you're describing sounds like people who've just generationally, that's kind of what they've been taught. But
Correct.
what are some other ahas you've noticed about Putnam County, especially coming from, many of the moves that you've done? And you kind of alluded to that already, but what are some things that really stand out about Putnam County?
Quality of life is one thing. A lot of recreational opportunities, whether they be on the river. And I really don't think we're taking advantage of that river as much as we could. It's an asset. It's not going away, so why don't we use it? Trails, ravine gardens is phenomenal. We really are a gem that not a lot of people knew about. When I got here last year, from an economic development standpoint, we weren't on anybody's radar. So what I've tried to do in the 17 months is market Putnam County as a place to live, work, and play, because we have all that. You can live here. Quality of life is phenomenal. Housing costs are less than along the coast, the Atlantic and the Gulf side, because of beaches and water, and we're so close to that. It makes for a great quality of life. There are jobs here. There need to be a lot more for our residents. I alluded earlier to that 58% of folks 18 to 65 leave Putnam County to work every day. We got to lower that immensely. So we have to target and go after and recruit new primary jobs, industrial jobs that pay living wages. Nothing against retail, commercial, or service, but a lot of those jobs aren't. You can't send a kid to college and pay for his college on minimum wage or $15 an hour. You need those $25, $30, $35, $40 an hour jobs to really sustain your community.
Well, speaking of that, we've for those of us that live in Palatka, we've seen some new businesses come in the last several years, and especially on the Highway 19 corridor. What do you see as do you see some trends? I mean, over the last few years and going forward, do you see some trends where we are picking up, or what's kind of the magic, the crystal ball, if you will?
Well, retail or hospitality type positions will come if there are the primary jobs here to support them. Everybody says to me, and it's not really my lane because I'm focused on industrial development, but they want a Chick-fil-A, a Starbucks, Longhorn came. They want an IHOP. Well, those companies are doing their due diligence and doing their market research, and when they think they can make money here, they will come, like they go to every other community. Right now, they don't think they can make money, and it's all about making money. And so we have to bring in companies that can support those businesses to come here, and that is starting.
So we're talking about like industrial jobs and some of those?
Yeah.
So, we've been hearing about, speaking of industrial jobs, and I'm asking what your forecast is. They talked about building a seaport here. You know, I know there's a study going on. I'm not sure where they are on that now. Let's just say if they were to do a seaport at the barge port, what do you foresee the impact of that being?
It would be huge. The unfortunate part of it is it's probably 5 to 6 years away from happening, and it all depends on the First Coast Expressway that's going to connect I-10 to I-95,
Right.
and that requires a new bridge in Green Cove Springs, the Shands Bridge,
Right.
which will look like the Palatka Bridge, a high draft bridge. And what that will do, once that bridge is complete, that will allow the Putnam County barge port to open fully and service some of our industries like Seminole Electric can bring coal on bar. It's a cheaper way of transporting product or their raw materials. Georgia Pacific will use it. Certainteed will bring their synthetic gypsum down by barge instead of train or truck from Jacksport. And it will become a thriving port. And other businesses will see that, and then they'll want to come here to take advantage of that port.
So that'll really be kind of a starting point, really.
Correct. Correct. And the county's in the process of working with the Army Corps of Engineers to dredge the channel of the river. We're doing some things on a preemptive perspective to get us ready for when that bridge is completed and opened.
What's the time schedule on the bridge? I thought I heard they moved it up a year, maybe. Or
well, right now FDOT is saying it'll be open 2030, which essentially is 6 years from now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for more of a 2027, 2028 timeframe. That would help all of us, and really that just gives me something else to market to the world and to the other 49 states that we have this asset, and it's an infrastructure asset, just like our roads, our water and sewer, electricity, broadband is another key area that we have to improve. I mean, it's sad that there are people in Putnam County that cannot get the internet.
Well, and we learned that.
You know that full well because
during the pandemic,
especially during COVID.
Right.
How do kids do their homework? Because they're online. But if they can't get the internet, they can't be online. So it's a chicken and egg thing. And being that we're a rural community, the ISPs, the Comcast, the AT&Ts, Cox Communicate, we're the last mile. And they don't want to invest in the last mile because they don't think they can get a return on their investment.
And I understand that.
I get it's a business. It's totally business. It's not personal. It's not emotional. It's just a business number crunching.
And I think, we've talked a lot about school system and, we're building new schools and that type of thing. And I think a lot of the conversations we had is we're not trying to become another St. Johns County. We're not trying to, just get crowded. We're trying to improve that quality of life.
Right. Well, the thing is, growth is going to happen in Putnam County because of what's happening around us. We're kind of the hub, the spoke of the wheel, the axle of the wheel, if you will.
Look at all the highways coming through here.
Right. Now, we are the only county, I believe, in Florida that does not have an interstate that goes through our borders.
That's true.
Which is, out of 67 counties, we're the one.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I was told that. Now, I really haven't looked at a map, but it makes sense. But we have what I call interstate lookalikes. Highway 17, 207. There are 4-lane divided highways. So
and I've heard them called intrastates. They
correct,
connect interstates.
So you can get to 95. You can get to 295 by going up through Orange Park and jumping on there. So we have pretty good infrastructure. It just needs to be improved a little bit. Where we lack infrastructure is in that water and wastewater area, because right now, if you look at Putnam County as a whole, industrial development is going to happen in and around Palatka because they have the infrastructure. The city has the water and sewer. You don't see much in Interlochen, Crescent City, Winnetka, in that regard, just because their populations are low.
Well, and East Palatka has it too. I mean,
East Palatka is where your housing is going to happen, especially along 207 and off of it.
Right. A lot of people, the people coming out of St. Johns County that can commute.
Yeah. Development is coming down 207 into Putnam County, into East Palatka, and it's going to happen. We just have to manage it, to manage the growth. And, we need, as a community or a county, we need to have a plan to manage that. I'm not sure if we have one yet.
Well, tell me this. How, me being with the school system and you being with economic development, tell me the relationship there and, what can the school district do to contribute to economic development? And I know a lot of that's kind of probably going to be obvious, but
sure,
just for our public, how can the two work together?
Well, obviously, we have to have an open line of communication, and we do, which is awesome. Basically, how I view the school district is you're training our future workforce. Those 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids are going to be taking our jobs here in short order. They need to have the background and training to do that. And a lot of those things are being accomplished, but obviously there's room for improvement because we don't know what companies are going to locate here. We don't know what companies are going to expand here. They're going to if they want to grow and stay in business, because if they're status quo, they're not going to be here very long. And there's some important businesses that we have to make sure we keep, i.e. Georgia Pacific.
Sure.
It's our largest industrial employer with over 1,000 jobs. It's been great for our community. They are great corporate citizens. They fund a lot of initiatives in this community. The hospital. In the last 20 years, the one industry that has been growing, healthcare.
And probably because of the demographics of our population, older population.
Us, what I call, and I'm in that stage. I'm a late stage baby boomer. I'll be retiring here, in the not too distant future. You're in that same boat. The millennials, if you look at generational things, I do because it's kind of part of what I do for a living. The millennials, the Gen Xers, the Gen Zers. That's our future. That's who's going to be running this country in the next 10 to 15 years. They're going to, when they get into their 30s and 40s, they're the future.
Taxpayers and taking care of us, right?
Right, exactly.
So, along with that, as far as the future goes, where do you see the school system and our building new schools and some of the programs that we're offering, especially the career programs? How do you see that contributing?
Oh, it's a major contributor. Just going back to what I just said, we have to prepare our future workforce to be productive citizens and, raise their families and send their kids to college or trade school, whatever that the kid wants to do. But those opportunities, you're providing those opportunities. I think we all know that the better educated students are going to thrive, and somehow we've got to do that rising tide that lifts all boats. We've got to bring all our students to where they have opportunities to have a great life.
Well, and that's one thing that we've really tried to stress since my time in office is really trying to look at those careers in the industry that's in the region, not just Putnam County. And, we've started our second building construction academy in our high schools. And we have a number of things going on like automotive and welding and that type of thing.
Right.
But really a big push for us has been in the STEM industry. And really, as I say, creating jobs that don't, or creating workers that don't, for jobs that don't exist yet.
Right. A good example of that is my daughters. They're 35 and 28. My 28-year-old is working in a job that didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago, and that is digital marketing. She does the website SEO, social media posts for mom and pop businesses that don't have the personnel or staff or money to do it themselves.
And we've created that same department of a school district.
Right. You're talking about STEM. Basically, STEM fits across all industries, whether it be manufacturing, because the E in STEM is engineering, and the M is mathematics. And so it fits across everything from accounting, legal, business, retail, commercial, manufacturing. It flows overall. And so those STEM programs are extremely important. We need to have them because that's where we fall behind other countries, is in that STEM area. You see the numbers, and that's why you're doing the program. For the United States to maintain themselves as the number one world power, we need to have STEM graduates.
Well, it's interesting, and coincidentally, I was in Jacksonville yesterday, and I addressed a group, a visiting group from Pennsylvania, not only educators but businessmen and all, and they wanted to come down here and see Jacksonville and Putnam County. And we had some people there from different embassies, mainly from European nations. And they are actually coming and visiting some of our STEM programs today. That's where I'm going when I leave here today.
Right.
But they are really interested in how a small school district, somebody our size with 10,000 students, can offer the amount of STEM programs that we're offering now.
Right.
And I'll brag a little bit, which is a little bit more than other districts our size. So, to me, what we have done is we're creating some systems and put them in place. But we have not done that in a vacuum. We've worked closely with our partners here in Putnam County, specifically Georgia Pacific. They've helped us fund our advanced manufacturing program.
Correct.
We've partnered with a Jacksonville nonprofit, STEM 2 Hub, which has been vital for a lot of our resources and training. So again, a small district like ours or a small county, we have to be able to reach out and partner with other people outside the county as well as in the county.
Correct.
So I'm very proud of what we're doing, and I think in the future, as our relationship grows with the chamber, I think the future is going to be very bright.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I would agree with you 100%.
Especially in the area of artificial intelligence. We have a
that is the newest thing, and probably just really this calendar year. A lot of the economic development conferences I go to are now offering sessions on AI and how we can use it in my work as an economic developer. I'm looking at it, but I'm at that point in my life where 5-7 years I might not be in this job anymore because I'll retire. Like I said, I got a retired wife who wants to travel. And so I'm kind of being cautious with it, but I've got the app on my phone, and sometimes I do utilize it when I need some creativity. If I have a mental block, it does help. But have I gone all in on it yet? No.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah.
I'm doing my research. I don't know enough about it yet to go all in.
Well, we've actually, when we started this program about 3 years ago, we actually partnered with Columbia University out of New York. And a professor there actually taught our students and our teacher remotely.
Okay.
So that's how it started, and our teacher now is certified in AI.
Wow.
But again, it's that partnering outside. But I have learned a lot more about AI, and I'm continuing to learn, but I'm seeing that AI is really enhancing or replacing a lot of our jobs now.
Right.
And so I think we need to understand it just for that point of view, especially I would think in the employment area, just to make sure
it's another thing that impacts physical jobs. Automation does. Now AI is on top of that. So it's another thing that impacts how we do business. And I think, like I said, I need to learn more about it, and I'm going to, and find out how that I can integrated into my daily work frame.
Well, the other thing is kind of on that line is ChatGPT.
You're right.
Which it has scared educators to death because we're afraid, okay, kids can get this and really just let AI do their work for them.
Right.
And actually, I compare it a lot to back in the 70s when you and I were going to school when the calculator came out.
Yes.
We thought, oh my gosh, we can't have those in the school because kids are going to cheat. But now we've embraced it, and I think embracing ChatGPT is going to be something that, as a matter of fact, my questions that I'm asking you were generated from ChatGPT.
Correct.
Just feeding it some information. So.
Right. I think people, when they go interview for a job, the questions that you get in an interview are from ChatGPT.
Right.
So that's the area I'm looking at is ChatGPT, and how can I use that in what I'm doing on a daily basis.
Well, I think people listening out there, we're primarily representing the school district and the business community. What should other people out there say? People just in the community, just maybe people just having small businesses, or just retired folks. We have a lot of retired folks. What would you want them to know about what the economic development portion of the chamber is doing now and how that can enhance their lives?
Well, one of the things, it kind of takes a nation to have a successful economic development program. We have to partner with not only the schools, but the business community, the state of Florida, federal government, local government. We're all partners, and I maybe mentioned earlier that I feel like I'm kind of the quarterback, and when I need help on something, because I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none in this job. I need to find the skill sets that I need to put a project together and bring a company to Putnam County. My wide receivers might be the legal folks. My running backs might be accountants. My offensive line might be general contractors. The great part, I've always said the great part about doing economic development is every phone call, every meeting, I'm meeting with somebody with a different skill set, from lawyers to elected officials, to educators, accountants, general contract, engineers. Every phone call is different, and I have to switch gears every phone call, and that's kind of the fun part about my job.
Everybody brings something different to the table.
Correct. Yeah. And then to do a successful project, you need to plug those people in and have them do the things that they can do, and then boom, we're having a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking, and all of a sudden people are getting hired. Our citizens here in Putnam County are getting hired, and they're buying homes, they're buying cars, they're buying food, they're sending their kids to get better education.
And it's one big economic cycle.
It's one cycle.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is.
So I mentioned earlier, we have a 10-year revitalization plan where we plan on building 9 new schools.
Right.
In the next 10 years, and we've already in that first phase where we're building 3 new schools this year for the next 2 years. How do you see that as being a driver, if so, in economic development?
Oh, it's a huge driver. I think, kids will tend to want to learn more if they're in an environment that's conducive to learning. Not saying the current schools aren't, but they got some wear and tear on them. So kids see that. They acknowledge that, and they know that. If they go into a new facility that has all the latest technologies, they're going to be much further ahead than they are now. I think that's just a natural thing. I mean, people like me, we like to work in nice office buildings.
Do you see that maybe even attracting people to move to our county?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think and the rural communities tend to lag behind major metros in that because of tax dollars, ability to raise the money to build these new facilities, these new schools.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that has been a thing. I talk about it all the time when I'm talking to prospective businesses that are looking at our area to locate to. It's part of my checklist that I go down. These are the things I'm telling you about that are coming, that are going to be advantageous to you as a business person.
Well, and I'm really proud of our county for taking the step. Last year we passed a $300 million bond issue to be paid out through ad valorem taxes over the next 30 years. And it is truly a sign where people are investing in the future of Putnam County. And the thing that really helps me in the payback, and I know people don't like their taxes to go up, but correct me if I'm wrong, but as more people come in and own property and pay ad valorem taxes over the long term,
it spreads it out.
It's going to spread it out. It's going to lessen that obligation.
It goes up initially, but then it spreads out.
Right.
One of the things that I've been trying to do is put a plan in place for economic development. We had a plan that was done in 2016 that, for various reasons, wasn't implemented. Didn't really have measurables. So we're putting together right now a new 5-year strategic action plan, and then we'll be taking that out to the business community to invest in it so that we can implement. Because right now, you're on our chamber board, we're understaffed and underfunded. We got to turn that dynamic around, and so we can, invest in Putnam County to make this that quality place to live, work, and play. We should have that plan. It's in a draft stage at this point currently, and we should have that January, February.
Can you mention one? Is it too early to mention maybe one highlight of that plan that people could?
Well, the chamber board and executive committee haven't seen it yet.
I got you.
And so I would rather not say anything at this point. But I can tell you some of the strategies there's 4 main strategies or initiatives. Obviously, attraction of new business and industry. The second will be retain our existing industries and help them grow, break down barriers to that growth. Workforce development is going to be a key, so be working with PCSD and St. John's River State College, Career Source, and kind of bringing everybody together in a more cohesive unit to assist these companies when they're in a hiring mode. And then the fourth thing is, I think, which is interesting, is that it's called branding and placemaking. We have to look at our community. We promote ourselves as a lot of different things. We have to be, if you look back at some of the most successful branding communities like I Heart New York, Virginia's for Lover, Pure Michigan, Ohio, Heart of It All, Florida, the Sunshine State. Putnam County has to look at that branding and say, okay, what are we? And we have to bring all the various groups, because we're the bass fishing capital of the world. We're Azalea City. We're Gem City. We're River City. And everybody is doing their own thing, and we have to kind of bring everybody together and say, okay, what do we really want to tell people outside of Putnam County who we are? And you got to have a hook, and the branding is the hook.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and you look at our logo, and we actually had an organization help us design that, but we had the sailboat, and we have the graduation cap and the book. So kind of to your point, we're trying to use some of those resources in our branding.
Right, and that's going to be part of our plan over the next 5 years to implement that. Now, it might not be year 1, it might be year 3, but it will get done.
Well, and again, I moved to Putnam County in the mid-'80s, and things were, I think, a lot different then. I mean, kind of the joke was when you came through Putnam County, you had to hold your nose all the way through because of the pulp mill, and that was kind of the joke, is because you could smell the pulp mill. But now, we don't look at that, or they've changed things, of course, but I'm saying we look at the river and those things that really are attractive when we come through here now. And And I know that corridor, the 17 corridor going over the bridge, really developing that area, developing St. John's Avenue, I know is going to be extremely important.
Right.
Having a lot of that foot traffic. And
Right. That's one of the things I've been telling the city of Palatka is that we need a vibrant downtown to attract industry on the outskirts because business executives, they have wives, they want to shop, or they have husbands that want to. We need a vibrant downtown, which right now we have a little bit, but there's so much more that can be done down there. We have the River Center, we have the first 7 blocks of St. John's Ave, a lot of empty storefronts. That needs to be corrected.
And there's been an effort here, I know some of our local businessmen have partnered with Quint Studer and really trying to focus on doing exactly that. So it's a process.
It is a process.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight, but if we're making progress and working to it, folks will see that and then they will invest in that.
So as we wrap up today, I've learned a lot about economic development already and kind of how the school district can partner with you. But, what can we look for from in maybe the next 6 months? What do you see happening in the next 6 months? And I know you have some events taking place very soon where we're bringing in some guest speakers and so forth. But what are some things that we can look for from the Chamber and the Economic Development Council over the next half year?
Well, I think there's a couple areas that you're going to see. You're going to see a few project announcements, like we had with Certainty back in July. That was a great project for Putnam County, $235 million capital investment, 115 new jobs at average wage $65,000 plus benefits. There's going to be a couple more projects that are going to be announced in the next 6 months. That's the thing about economic development. Everybody's got that McDonald's theory. They can just walk in and get what they want instantaneously. A lot of times economic development projects take years to actually happen. Us coming out with a new strategic plan and then going out and doing a capital fundraising campaign to fund that plan is going to be important. And, because right now I'm a one-man show, no staff to help do it. So I'm doing everything by myself. And I'm not complaining. I knew that coming in 17 months ago. But with another staff person, we can accomplish a lot more. But we need money to do that. So
and it really is about educating people.
Correct.
Why that's important.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, they hear the term economic development and they think it's a catch basin where what you don't know where to put things, it ends up at the chamber or in this economic development. Economic development is really kind of the umbrella. And there's a lot of pillars that hold up that umbrella. You've got community development, downtown development, tourism is a huge piece because of the assets we have. And there's industrial development, which is kind of where I'm focused. And it's, entrepreneurship, big thing. We do have a local SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and an individual full-time that runs. We actually house him in the chamber, and he's working with people trying to start their own businesses.
Right.
And those are all things that are important, but they're all different in many different ways. And my role is to bring all those folks together and make sure we're all working together.
Well, and the school district definitely wants to be a big player as much as we can in that.
Right.
And
well, you're a big player.
Yeah, and we would definitely want to be, especially the 5-year strategic plan. I think is a great idea. We actually are like in year 2 of our 5-year strategic plan, so it really does kind of guide you and.
Right. And my theory is plan your work your plan.
Right.
And if you do that, you're gonna see success. I always strive. I always shoot for the moon. So I strive for perfection, but no one ever gets perfect. But if we work at it, we could get to excellence. And that's where you want to be.
And I really am excited about the future of Putnam County. And and again, I have kids here. I have grandkids here, and I just want this community to be better. And quality of life is what it's about. And live, work, and play. And, You are a great asset to our community,
Thank you.
I'm so thankful that you chose, or your wife chose, for you to come down.
My wife chose for me. Yeah, that might be more of it, but yeah, like I said, we're extremely happy to be here, and a lot of this that we're talking about over the next 6 months or 5 years, 10 years down the road, is going to require one simple thing, and that's change. I kind of see myself as a change agent. Some people are going to like it, and some people aren't.
That's right.
So, we just have to work with that and educate and talk and be out there in the community so that nobody's caught off guard.
And we've had those same conversations in the school district. So
Right.
change is hard, but, after a while, it's what we need to do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I can't be more happy to have you here, and thanks for being patient with me. And we're going to have some more conversations.
Yeah, we need to have that college football conversation.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up right now.
No.
We'll wait till next year, maybe.
Next year. But
Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate being here. I've really enjoyed this.
Yep, we'll do it again.
Thank you.